Aim, editing, and building are the three most practiced and sought after mechanics to improve. In this video, we're going to talk about a slightly more unconventional mechanic, movement. What's up guys, it's Makai Typhoon here. Just before we start the video, I just wanted to thank you all for 300 subscribers. Stay tuned until the end of the video where I'll be running a V-Bucks giveaway to give back to you guys who have subscribed. And with that said, let's get straight into the video. So what is movement? Movement is simply just the mechanic of moving your character. This is a very important mechanic to make sure you take as little damage in fights as possible and also minimises your risk of getting sniped or beamed without seeing the opponent. The first thing we need to talk about when it comes to movement is the actual game mechanics for character view. As you can see, the Fortnite camera is placed over the character's right shoulder, and this means the right hand peek gives a much better and quicker view of the opponent if you have that right hand peek. So how does this help us with our movement? It's something you need to consider when making your small character movements in close range fights. If you are moving to the right of the opponent, they will have an easier shot than if you're moving to the left of the opponent. Remember that when performing this movement, it will be the right to move towards the opponent's left and the left to move towards the opponent's right. So it's just the opposite of your character. With that said, let's get into some tips on how you can actually improve this movement. So the first way to greatly improve your movement, and more specifically to improve your close range movement, is by using this map on the screen, which I've spoken about before, and it's Raider 464's Aim Jaw map. Now the reason this map is so good for movement is because the whole focus is to be put into scenarios where you are trying to hit your opponent and not get hit yourself without building or editing. Now whilst using this map, focus on making fast and unpredictable movements whilst also trying to remember the opponent's character view and moving right as much as possible. Now to clarify, this doesn't mean just move right because that's way too predictable, but do quick movements from left to right whilst holding slightly more on the right hand movement. Also, it's really important to chuck in crouching in these scenarios, because when people are lining up headshots, they'll actually just completely miss your character, allowing you to then hit them back with an easy high damage shot. So the next thing we need to talk about, and I briefly mentioned it in the previous step, but it's to make sure your movements are unpredictable. Move left, move right, jump, but make sure you're doing lots of different movements and never do the same sequence of movements, otherwise your opponent will work this out and be able to predict where you will be and hit a heavy shot. This is probably most important when you're running out in the open and rotating to zone. Really quick left to right movements, some jump and some slower movements will throw off anyone trying to snipe or beam you. So focus on just trying out as many movement directions as you can when rotating. Because realistically, what you want is, perhaps you might get hit for a 30, but what you want to avoid is getting hit for a 200 headshot snipe or getting hit for, say, I don't know, a triple dink and over 100 from just one beam. The next map you need to use to improve your movement is Machine Right's Strafe Aim practice map. This map is another great map which allows you to practice moving whilst aiming, which is so much harder than if you're just standing still whilst aiming. If you put a good amount of time practicing both this map with Raider's Aim Jaw map, then your movement is going to improve so much and you can take that into a real game. The next tip, and I think I mention this every single video, but it's certainly worth mentioning due to the importance of it, and that is watch how pro players move. This is a clip here from Mongrel, and whilst it isn't the best show of pro level movement, it shows just what subtle direction changes can do to win you fights. As you can see, Mongrel needs to reload his gun, so he makes some very quick movements from left to right, and he only gets hit for 46, which then allows him to reload and finish his opponent off. This clip shows how tiny quick movements can literally win fights, and that's why you need to incorporate these fast quick movements into your game. The final thing to mention, and I considered whether I should actually include this one, as it's still a debate on whether these should actually be allowed, but for the sake of transparency I will mention it, and this is the Wooting full analog keyboard. Now this keyboard basically gives keyboard and mouse players controller movement while still using a keyboard. And there's plenty of videos on how these work, so I won't go into it, but the benefits of double movement is huge, and it allows for many more unpredictable movements since your character can go in so many more directions. So this keyboard can be very useful and helpful if you can afford it, but it is quite expensive and it also still is fairly debatable as to whether they should actually be used, so I'll let you guys decide on that one. And that is it for the video guys, a much shorter video today, but hopefully I've given you a few tips in there to improve your movement. If you enjoyed this and want me to make a follow-up video at some point, I'd be happy to make one, so please just let me know in the comments. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I will now be doing a 2,800 V-Bucks giveaway. So the details of this giveaway are very simple. There are 4 requirements, and these are that you are subscribed to the channel with notifications on, you like this video, and you leave a comment which contains either a Twitter or an Instagram account so that I actually have somewhere to DM you and contact you and let you know if you've won, and then you can send proof on one of these platforms that you have liked the video and subscribe with notifications on. So good luck to anyone who enters. I will do more giveaways in the future once I hit certain milestones, so stay tuned for that and don't get too disappointed if you don't win this one. And thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe with notifications on, like the video, and if you did enjoy, I'll see you all next time. Peace.